Okay, Titans, what we're talking about today is factors that affect the rate of a reaction. Now, a chemical reaction we know is a chemical change where something new is formed. There are four factors that we're going to find that will determine how fast or can influence how fast that reaction takes place. Now, before we get into those, let's talk about the collision model. What we're going to assume is that for two different particles to react, they need to collide. They actually need to bump into each other, smash against one another so that they can recombine and form into a new substance. Now, not all collisions are successful. Sometimes they bump into each other and just glance off and continue on their way unchanged. Well, other times they'll smash into each other and recombine into our new substances. Okay, so that's the collision model. That's going to be really important for understanding why these factors actually influence the rate of a reaction. Okay, our first factor that influences the rate of a reaction is temperature. Now ask yourself, what happens to a group of particles as we heat them up? Hopefully you said that they start to move faster. Now, that's going to be important in understanding why their temperature is going to influence the rate of a reaction. Now imagine we took everybody in our class, we blindfolded you, we took out all the desks in the room, we had you to stand up and walk around the room really slowly, shuffling your feet. How long is it going to take you for everyone to bump into somebody else? Probably take a little while. Now imagine this. What happens if, instead of shuffling your feet, moving slowly around the room, what happens if you ran full speed around the room, still blindfolded? How long would it take you to bump into somebody else? Probably it's going to happen a lot faster. And that's why temperature influences the rate of a reaction. The faster the particles are moving, the better chance that they're going to collide with another particle and therefore react. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, the second factor that's going to influence the rate of reaction is concentration. Now, think about this. What does concentration mean? Well, imagine you've got a glass of water and you want to make some Kool-Aid. If you just take a small amount and you just drop it into that glass of Kool-Aid or glass of water and you stir it up, try to drink it, it's probably not going to taste very good. Why? Well, because it's not very concentrated. What you need to add is more of the solute, the stuff you're dissolving, into the solvent, the thing that's going to do the dissolving, to make it tastier. So if I take a few more shovelfuls of Kool-Aid and mix that up, it's going to be far more concentrated, which means there's a lot more of those Kool-Aid drink crystal particles mixing around in there. So why does that matter for the factors that affect the rate of a reaction? We'll think about back to our collision model. The more particles that are in there, the better chance that they're going to bump into each other. Okay, again, let's do this. Imagine we took everybody in our class, we blindfold you, and we sort of walk around the room. Eventually everyone's going to bump into each other. What if we change the concentration? So now we take the same number of students in our class, we still have you blindfolded, but now we put you down in the gym. You walk around that gym slowly, eventually you're going to run into each other, but it's going to take a lot longer probably than in the class. We take everybody in our class again and we put you into a closet, we jam you in there, you're going to bump into each other fairly quickly. Okay, so you can see how the number of particles for a given space, which is concentration, really influences how quickly they're going to bump into each other. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the third means of increasing the rate of reaction is surface area. Now what surface area is, it's the area that's outside of a substance that's exposed to the air. Okay? So if we had a cube or a box or something in front of us, only the outside would be exposed to the air, so that would be the surface area. Think of if you were wrapping a present. Okay? The amount of wrapping paper you need, that is the surface area. That's what's covering the outside. Okay? Now for surface area, the more surface area we have, the more particles are exposed and able to react. So if we have a lot more particles that are ready to react, the reaction is going to happen quicker because there's going to be more collisions. Imagine we take a solid and we drop it into a liquid. Okay? If it's a solid cube, only the outside initially is going to be able to react. Okay? If you take an Alka-Seltzer tablet and you drop it into water, it's going to start to bubble and fizz. But those particles that are on the very inside of that Alka-Seltzer tablet aren't able to react because they're not exposed right now. So what we can do is expose more particles by, let's say, breaking it in half. Now all the particles that are all on the inside, where the exposed edge is, will be able to react. Conversely, we can keep breaking it into smaller and smaller pieces, exposing more and more surface area, to the point where if we grind it up as a powder and you drop it into the water, it's going to happen at a much faster rate. And as a result, we've increased the surface area, there's now more particles able to react or to collide, and therefore the reaction happens faster. All right, the fourth factor that will influence a rate of reaction are catalysts. Now what catalysts are substances that speed up a reaction without actually being involved or part of the reaction, which means they are not reactants and they do not rearrange to become new products. The catalyst is present before and the catalyst is present afterwards. So what does a catalyst do though? Well, a catalyst changes the amount of energy necessary for a successful collision to take place. In other words, when two chemicals bump into each other, those particles, a catalyst makes it so that they're more likely to react. There's more successful collisions, and therefore the reaction happens faster. So again, the key thing to remember is that a catalyst speeds up the reaction without being part of the reaction. Okay? All right, and those are the four factors that influence the rate of a reaction.